Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Sarah Heldman. I'm an occupational therapy assistant and assistive technology professional at the Wood County Board of Developmental Disabilities.
And I'm Carly Dowk. I'm also an occupational therapist and the health supports coordinator for the Wood County Board of Developmental Disabilities.
So we are going to talk about enhancing employability skills with assistive technology. This is a presentation that we had the opportunity to do at the National Tech Conference in Orlando in January of 2024. And we fielded a lot of requests to see the content of this presentation. So we thought we would just take advantage of technology and record it for you all. We're not video editing experts, so there may be a few blips or hiccups in the video, and we're going to go ahead and leave those in to try to keep it as authentic as an in-person presentation with you all would be. There we go. So today we're going to hope by the end of the session that you'll be able to name and describe the 3 domains of the employability skills framework, which is something that came out from the Ohio Department of Education. I'm sorry, the U.S. Department of Education. We're hoping that you'll be able to list at least 5 assistive technology solutions to help individuals achieve employment skills. That you'll be able to describe 2 assistive technologies that can be used for employment evaluation strategies, and that you're going to be able to take what you learn and apply it to your own workplace setting. Our hope anytime we do a presentation is that you have something that you can implement immediately. So for those of you not familiar, in the state of Ohio, we have some overarching initiatives that drive what we do in the state. So one of which is the Employment First initiative. This was signed in by Governor John Kasich back in 2012. And it just asks us to look at employment services as a first option for individuals, regardless of disability, just looking that all individuals are able to be employed in some way. So really, we want to drive home that this isn't just a program or a plan or a service, but this is really a philosophy that guides our state and the services that we provide. And the same carries through in other states as well. So if you look at this kind of nationwide map, you can see that there's employment first initiatives across the nation. One of our other overarching initiatives in the state is to look at technology first. So this was created in 2018 through an executive order by the governor. And it aims to help people learn more about how technology can improve their quality of life and really have the opportunity for more independence and personal freedom. So the Department of Developmental Disabilities works with county boards, which is where Carly and I work, to ensure that we are looking at how technology can support the individuals that we serve and that we consider it as part of the service plan. So a little bit about our process here in Wood County. What makes us a little bit unique is that we do have an occupational therapy department that is able to complete an assistive technology process. So what we do is we take referrals from members of the team. Sometimes that's the individual themselves. Sometimes it's their service and support administrator. Other times it's their parents or a natural support, but really anyone on the team can make that referral. And once a referral is made, we do some sort of evaluation. So in the assistive technology world, we're often using the HAT model, which looks at how technology fits the needs of the person. So how the human, the activity, and the assistive technology all work together. We're going to interview individuals and their team to gather more information. And we usually do some observation of the individual. Sometimes that is, in this case, just at their place of employment. Sometimes we're looking at employment and home. It really kind of depends on what the need is for. And then from there, we're going to choose and trial some assistive tech. So we really are looking at matching the individual's needs to the assistive technology and not the other way around. So sometimes we might get really excited about a piece of technology and we want to make it work for every person. And we really try to do it the other way around. So we're looking at the person first and then finding the correct piece of technology to fit their needs. We try our best to have a loaner device or some sort of lending program, whether that be our own lending library or tapping into some local and state resources. But we try to do a lending period so that we can collect some data and have a trial session before we implement. And then once we're implementing, we're providing training and ongoing support, not only to the individual, but their whole team to ensure that everyone is comfortable using technology. We're constantly monitoring progress because maybe it's working right now, and a few months from now, maybe it's not working so great, or maybe it's working so well that we can expand upon its usage. And then we always have a reevaluation process to make sure things are working out. Again, we may look at carrying over the assistive technology across environments and building upon skills. So for example, if someone gets a smart speaker, maybe like an Alexa or Google, maybe the first thing they're doing is setting an alarm. And then once they've mastered that, they can start learning some new skills. So we're going to be looking at this employability skills framework today. It's broken into several domains, so applied knowledge, effective relationships, and workplace skills. And that's how we're going to divide up thinking about assistive technology today for employment. And this framework is from the U.S. Department of Education. It's available online if you want to see it at length. We have a link at the end of our presentation here where you can find it.
Okay, so first we'll talk about effective relationships, which is those social skills and interpersonal skills that are crucial for a employment environment. So demonstrates teamwork and works well with others. So having the ability to collaborate not only with coworkers, but also supervision or leadership. Um, Contributing to tasks, showing respect for others, responding to customer needs. So that's not just customer service jobs, right? All jobs have some aspect of customer service, whether that be to the end user or to our coworkers as well. Exercises leadership. So again, working as a team, but also, taking some initiative on some of the projects or the goals that the team has. Negotiating and resolving conflict, as we all know, that happens in the workplace, and we have to be able to deal with it, right? And we have to be able to continue to do our job successfully, even if there is some conflict in that area. And then respecting individual differences. So again, you can't pick and choose who you work with, right? We work with anyone who also works with our organization or who might be partners to our organization, and we have to find a way to get along with them, right, to successfully do our jobs and to get the end result that we're looking for. So one of the biggest supports that we have found for this area is Goblin Tools. So on the screen, that little goblin, I guess, is what the application looks like. So you can access their website, and there's a bunch of different tools that are on there that can help with interpersonal skills. So some examples might be there's an option in there that allows you to type in maybe an email before you send it, and it can help you to understand what the tone might be that you are putting into that email. Vice versa, you can copy and paste an email that you received and put it in there, and then it can show you what the tone might be that from the email that was sent to you. So for some individuals, understanding that can kind of be tricky because it's not black and white. And even though the words may say one thing, they may not pick up on the tone or what was truly intended from that email. So there's lots of different tools in there that can be helpful to kind of understand how you interact with others and how you can kind of maintain the peace, I should say, in the workplace.
And the Goblin Tools is made for people that are neurodiverse. So I like the language that they use of making it more spicy or less spicy. It's kind of a fun way to think about it. We've had some fun playing around with that in the office of just writing up, silly emails and then having Goblin Tools correct them. Or even some days if you're feeling a little cranky yourself, you might want to have Goblin just double check your work.
Okay, so continuing on, again, with those interpersonal skills and effective relationships in the workplace. So demonstrating responsibility and self-discipline. So again, kind of taking initiatives for different tasks that you're assigned at work or different assignments. adapting and showing flexibility. So again, that other duties as assigned in all of our job descriptions, right? Sometimes you have to just kind of roll with a different task, or maybe there's an incident or something happens that day where your normal routine is disrupted and you have to roll with whatever those duties may be for that day. Working independently. So again, committing to whatever assignments or tasks you have and starting up the work, completing the task, and then maybe following up or checking your work once you're done. Demonstrating a willingness to learn. So again, that goes back to being adaptable and flexible. Sometimes you might have a new task or you might have a change in a procedure. Speaking of technology, there's different documentation systems or different cash register systems. All of those things can be kind of fluid and changing. So it's important to be able to have that willingness to learn the new procedure and to understand it. And then demonstrating integrity. So again, treating assignments with respect and treating others that you're working with that same respect. So some examples here. So Goblin tools, as we kind of talked about, another portion of that program is kind of a task analysis. So you can put what the big task might be, and then it will break it down into step by step. And Sarah had talked about the levels of spiciness. That's also the same for the task analysis. How much do you want it broken down? So a good example might be you have to collect all the dishes, right? You have to take a bus tub out into the dining room at your place of employment and collect all the dirty dishes, bring them back, wash them, and then put them away where they go. So the overarching task might be dining room management. And then you can break that down just a little bit to go out to the dining room, check the bus tubs, put those dirty dishes into the dishwasher, and then put those dishes back. So that's just broken down a little bit, but then someone may need it really broken down. So walk out into the dining room, get the bus tub that's by the north entrance, collect the bus tub by the south entrance, put the plates, in one tray, put the silverware in one tray, run them through the dishwasher. So then it could really break things down for you, which can be super helpful for job tasks. So that could really help with that working independently and willingness to learn. If those supports are in place to be able to help them to learn new job skills or get new routines, that can help facilitate those skills. So other examples on this slide, ChoiceWorks, which is one of our favorite applications because it's relatively affordable and has some good features to it. This is a good example of, again, kind of a step-by-step picture schedule, but in a electronic format, right? So not everyone wants to stand out with a nice laminated big piece of paper and the Velcro, right, visual schedule. That's perfectly fine for some and works great, so I'm not trying to speak badly of that method. We use it quite often, but in some workplaces in the community, the person may not want to stand out like that. So ChoiceWorks can be used on an iPad, or we use it also on an iPod Touch, which I don't even know that those are made anymore, but
an iPhone without service.
Yeah, there you go. We use it on there because that can just be stuck in your pocket, right? And so that very much allows someone to blend in without making them seem like they're using an additional support to get their job done. So what it does is on the left side is the schedule of tasks. When that's clicked, you can use their pictures, you can use your own pictures, or you can insert videos. So we can also have some video modeling for different tasks. And then the person swipes it over when they're done. It'll also speak the task out loud to you. So if the step is to go collect the bus tubs, when you clicked it, it would read that out loud to the person. You can also, as you can see, the green circle on that picture there, you can put timers. So if they're supposed to do a task for a certain amount of time, you can set that timer, which is really helpful. Especially maybe if it's a non-preferred task in the workplace, they might just kind of peek out the door in the dining room. Oh, looks good to me. I don't see the bus tub overflowing. But maybe they need to spend a little bit more time, right? So that can help to manage that and to allow the person to work more independently. Another feature within there is you can have, after that task list is done, you can have kind of a reward, right? So maybe at the end is a preferred task. So maybe you can go take your 15-minute break, or you can go do a task at work that you like doing, that you enjoy. So that's kind of a nice way to again build that independence and that initiative, because they're going to want to start that task if they see the light at the end of the tunnel of maybe the task that they would rather be doing at the end. Um, a couple other features in that app is there's a feelings or emotions feature. So again, looking at those interpersonal skills, it can say when I'm frustrated, I can, and then it gives them a couple options. So if I'm frustrated at work, I can take a break, take my 15 minutes. I can go to speak to my supervisor. I can go to the bathroom. I can take some deep breaths. Whatever those coping skills might be, it can help them to give them something to look at to be able to hopefully start to cope with some of those emotions, and to be able to act in an appropriate way in the workplace setting. So that's another really nice feature of ChoiceWorks. There's also a feature about waiting. I don't know, that could be something that you use in the workplace, but while I'm waiting, I can, and it's a timer. And so, that again can kind of help to just to manage time, I guess. Next to that is the watch minder. It's a watch, very basic, kind of like your typical analog watch, but it also has on it at the top, I don't know if you can read it, but it says relax. So on the top, you can have different prompts. I think they can be programmed like every 3 minutes. So you can have quite a few prompts. And what it does is it just vibrates on the person's wrist to let them know that, hey, you should be doing something. So again, going back to my dining room example, if going and checking the bus tubs is a non-preferred activity, maybe that watch minder goes off every 30 minutes to remind them, hey, go check the bus tubs. Again, pretty discreet, just a regular looking watch on their wrist, but that can give those prompts. And the vibration is nice because, again, it's discreet. So if you're in a setting where you don't want it to be, some loud alarm or something, it can be, just personalized to what you need. There's I think over 100, I want to say, but I know there's a lot of different prompts that are pre-programmed into it. And then you can also do some that are custom to what that person needs.
Yeah, so I just recently did a consultation with a young man, and he works at McDonald's, and his job is to roll the breakfast burritos. So I think he decided that he was going to put in a custom message that said "keep rolling," so to keep him on task. So it's nice that you can add your own things in there. We've used this with several individuals that maybe they just haven't been so safe having access to the internet, and some watches or phones that have more opportunities for, surfing the web or more apps. So this is a nice option for folks that are in that scenario also.
And it's also relatively affordable, which is nice when you're looking at the working, trying to find supports that don't maybe break the bank for people, right? And then, just to kind of also talk about the relationships and the interpersonal skills, the prompt on there to relax is a great one. So maybe there are prompts on there to kind of cope with the stress of the workplace, or, just reminders that, just to take a break, right? So that if they feel themselves being frustrated, or if they're getting frustrated by a task, it can just be that reminder to help them calm down. And then also on the page is the Calm app.
It's the Me Minder.
Me Minder.
Calm is coming up.
Calm
it's a preview.
Coming up. Okay, sorry. So Me Minder is another app that is like a visual schedule. So it's a little bit more in depth. It can allow a supervisor or a caregiver to really monitor when those tasks are completed, how long it takes to complete those tasks. So it's really a step up from the ChoiceWorks, where it gives that kind of back end data of how often are they doing it? Are they doing it at all? So that can help to build independence. Same concept though, you can use pictures, you can use prompts, you can use videos. And then QMinder is another feature of that company, or another software maybe that they have available that allows you to use QR codes. So if they're doing a task, before they do it, they can scan that QR code, and that QR code can give them a step-by-step list of here's how to complete this task, or maybe a video. And so that's a nice feature that, again, can give that real-time scan this QR code to know what to do and make it a little more discreet discreet than having, a big poster on the wall or something of how to do a certain task. Okay, here we are, calm. So again, um, the I think this might be the last slide for effective relationships,
Mhm.
but some more skills, demonstrating professionalism. So we've already kind of talked about that, just having those appropriate behaviors at work and interactions, taking initiative. I've also kind of touched on that, displaying positive attitude and sense of self-growth, and then taking responsibility for professional growth. So again, these are almost just more ways of saying some of the things that I've already touched on. But there's plenty of apps out there like the Calm app that can help to facilitate frustration or kind of emotional regulation. So, whether that be listening to ocean sounds or listening to outdoor sounds for 30 seconds or taking some facilitated deep breathing or doing a quick stretch. All of those things can be done appropriately in the workplace and just kind of be a brief um, kind of break, and that 30 seconds might make all the difference for that person to get through that shift or to get through that job task successfully. So there's lots of different apps. As soon as we learn about them, we have some iPads here that we try them out and see what we think. Again, we try to look for free or really affordable apps that can be implemented in the workplace. Video modeling, I've kind of touched on this as well. So with all of those visual schedules, sometimes individuals learn better when they can see a video of even themselves doing the task successfully. And that can build their confidence too, to remember, hey, I've done this. I can do this. I've done it before. Here's how I do it. And so it can be a video, whether it be a job coach or someone who's helping that person in the workplace can take a video of them doing something successfully. And then that can be used as reinforcement to encourage them to continue to do that task or to do it regularly. So video modeling can be done. There's probably specific apps for it, but there's also apps that have it embedded within, maybe without even realizing it.
All right, so the second section of that framework from the not Ohio, the United States Department of Education is workplace skills. So this includes technology use, systems thinking, communication skills, information use, and resource management. So these are all skills that we do every day that we just maybe don't categorize them in this way or thinking about them. So understanding and using technology. So do we know how to use the technology that we use every day in our workplaces? So maybe that's the phone or the copy machine or desktop computers, a laminator, a shredder. We just got a really fancy staple remover for when we have to scrub documents to shred them. Understanding and using systems. So being able to contribute to teams and organizations, being able to monitor those systems, and then even provide input to improve them. So some tools that we use to teach this are probably tools that you use every day. I know that Carly and I both have our phones within arm's reach. So using a scheduling app, I would certainly be lost without my scheduling app to tell me what is coming next in my day. So that might be Microsoft Outlook or the Google system. Google Keep is a great extension of the Google system that can help you keep track of your tasks and create collaborative calendars and documents. So a lot of you are probably familiar with those tools, and we just have to think about how they might apply to individuals with disabilities as well. Continuing on in this section, there's a lot of communication skills that are necessary in any employment setting. So being able to communicate verbally, being able to actively listen, being able to comprehend written material, conveying information in writing, so things like sending an email, and then observing carefully. So some tools here maybe are speech to text or text to speech tools. Again, these are often built into our computers or our phones that we all have at our disposal. So, Apple has Siri and Google has the Google system. I'm going to probably set up our phones using smart speakers like Alexa or Google as well to ask questions of. And then there's pens like the one the one here is the C pen. They also make another brand called Scan Marker, and there's several others. But what you can do with that is actually run that electronic pen across some text. You press down, it kind of looks like a highlighter then, and it'll read the text aloud to you. It'll also, if there's just maybe one word that you don't know, you could do one word, you could do a whole sentence. It also has a dictionary built into it. A lot of those same types of concepts are built into our Microsoft Office or Google Drive or whatever word processing system that we use as well. So things like read aloud and spell check can really be useful tools for people with disabilities.
And just one more thing to add with the scan marker that might be helpful for the workplace. There's two options for a scan marker, or maybe more, but I know of two, the Pro and the Reader. The Reader is nice because that can be used to scan documents or text, and then it can directly upload that information to your computer, and then you can have it on your computer to maybe modify. So if the person needs larger text or they need high contrast, you could scan an existing sign or document that exists into your computer and then use a word processing application to change that text so that it's accessible to the person working there. So
Yeah. Some of those skin markers even have capability to go into other languages as well, which is
right.
really interesting to me. So a lot of power in a little pen. Workplace section 2 continued. So how we find information. So do we get it online? Do we get it from others? How do we organize that information once we have it? And then how do we use it and analyze it? And how do we communicate it out to others? So again, these are all tasks that we do every day in our places of employment, but we may not even necessarily think of it. So locating information, again, using tools like the smart speakers that are either built into our phones or that sit separately on the desk, like these Alexas that are featured in the picture, can be a great tool, not only for time management, but for finding out information as well. So, I need to schedule a meeting with someone that lives across the country. So it's, 2 o'clock here in Ohio. What time is it out in California? What's the definition of this word? What was the score of the game last night so I can talk to my friends about it at lunch? So you can use those smart speakers for a lot of different skills and employment settings. We actually placed some smart speakers in some adult day programs last year just to have folks get comfortable with them. And one of the outcomes that we weren't expecting was that the staff started using them to remember to log their temperatures and some other tasks that were just things that they kept forgetting to do. So. We also have pictured here just a mind map or a brain dump, depending on what language you like to use for those, but there's lots of websites like mindmup.com and some other apps where you can do kind of those brainstorming things. And that Goblin tools that Carly was speaking about earlier actually has, do they call it brain dump? I can't remember what exactly they call it, but it's basically you're dumping everything that's in your brain and it'll create it into a list for you. Compiler. That sounds a lot nicer than brain dump.
I did pull up Goblin tools because I couldn't remember what all of these things were called. So compiler.
Awesome. And then wrapping up, I think this is the last slide for section 2. So management of resources, so time, money, materials, and personnel. So again, management of time is where we tend to really focus a lot. So I'm not sure if you're aware, but your phones as well as your web browser can have focus time set. So on your phone, you can set up so that only certain individuals are able to get through and make a call to you at specific times. So maybe you set that up that only your significant other or your children can get a hold of you while you're at work. And then on your computer, you can actually, on the Google web browser, you can do a focus extension and you can set your goal for the day and it'll kind of monitor throughout the day every time you open a browser, like, hey, how are you doing on getting that goal for the day done? This bottom picture here is the Alexa wall clock. So many of us know and love the red time timer, and I kind of think of this as the grown-up version of the time timer. But when you set a timer, it lights up the minutes on the wall clock, and then it'll sound along with your Alexa wall clock when a timer is up.
Okay, so section 3, applied knowledge. So critical thinking and then applying those academic skills that might be learned to the workplace. Um, so thinking creatively, thinking critically, making sound decisions, problem solving, reasoning, planning, and organizing. So I think we've touched a lot of these already, but just to kind of further um, hit it home. So Google Keep is pictured on this slide. That's a really great application to be able to track and really planning and organizing of what the different tasks are, and you can easily share those between supervisor or coworkers. So you're not making a new list for everyone or sending separate emails or whatever. It could be shared with multiple people who have access to that same list. Um, so that can be a very helpful tool. And then I think the other picture here is just kind of your notes application on your phone. Sorry, our faces are in front of some of the slides. I'm not sure how that's going to look for you, but that's how it looks for us. So just kind of using your notes to be able to plan and organize, but also maybe write down ideas, right? So during the day when that idea comes to you, kind of taking a note, um, that can help to do that as well. All right, so reading skills, writing skills. So here's where we're getting into more of those applied academic skills. So reading, Sarah had mentioned this before too, text to speech. So a lot of browsers and applications, phones, iPads, tablets, they all have this feature kind of built in at this point. But there's different apps, depending on what device the person is using, that it can allow them um, to read the text out loud versus having to read it themselves. Also using, again, the C Pen reader or the scan marker if needed. Um, Writing skills. There's all sorts of applications, again, that can help to use those skills. So another one that I mentioned before, but since I looked up Goblin Tools and what it was specifically called, there's the judge on there, which is what I said before about understanding the tone. But then here we also have the formalizer, and that's taking that. How do I say, if you would have just read the last email I sent, you would know the answer to your
Per my
question?
last
Right. So it's going to bring up those more appropriate ways of saying some of those things. So again, I'm going to go back to Goblin, that could be a way to really help people to perfect their writing skills in a professional manner in the workplace. Using mathematical strategies and scientific, again, looking at your smart speakers or using your phone, right? I still bust out my phone calculator, and I'm maybe am close to the last generation where they told us you're not going to have a calculator in your pocket. And wouldn't you
Here we
know,
are. Here
we
we
have
are.
calculators in our pockets. So, just using some of those skills that we all use on a daily basis, and teaching the individuals we're working with how to use those. Um, Graphs and tables, Excel, just using Microsoft Excel to make graphs and things for you. There's so many things that are just kind of built into the systems that we have that can be used um, to help use those mathematic or scientific skills. And I can't remember what that extension is, but I think you know.
So over here on the side, we're showing AT Bar, which is a free extension you can get with Google. You can just go to AT Bar as a website, and then what it does is it actually will change the format of a web page for you. It can simplify it. It can make the print larger. It can change the contrast. It can remove the ads, so you're just seeing the print. And just make it a little bit more accessible for you. So quick story about math though. I was in a transition age classroom the other day and they just got some talking calculators because the students are just better at processing auditorily than they were with punching the numbers in. So it's just a calculator, pretty simple, takes some batteries, but it talks out loud as you punch the numbers in and it'll read the answer to you as well. So nice low tech solutions.
One more that I just thought of because I'm sitting in front of my computer is the Morphic extension that you can put on your computer, Morphic, Morphic. So that was free. And that's something that you can download into your computer, that it's just like a little taskbar that's added to your screen. And that can change text size, do magnification. There's a snip tool. You can read text out loud, and then you can also change contrast and do different color combinations as well with that. And so that's nice because your computer itself, your desktop, you have the ability to zoom in and zoom out. But then when you open a browser, that doesn't always stay, right? And so you have to kind of zoom in or zoom out on each separate thing. So this is nice because it allows you to use one program that you can apply to the desktop, but also when you open up your file folder, or when you go into a browser. So it can provide those accessibility tools to you, regardless of how you're using the computer.
Yeah, and the other one that we run into a lot is what if the note is handwritten? Then it's, there's not a lot of apps out for that. So I'm sure there are more coming out, but I just learned about this one called Midas. So it's MYDYS. And you just take a picture of the handwritten note and it'll read it aloud to you. It's the creators are folks that have dyslexia and other reading disabilities. And so it changes the font to the weighted font on the bottom that's meant to help folks with dyslexia read it a little bit more clearly. But interesting that it works on handwriting. And I did play around with it and kind of scribble on paper to see if it could read my handwriting, and it did. So
nice.
Okay, so if we were in person, what we'd want you to do is turn to a partner and share one strategy that you might implement in your workplace. So because we're not in person, we can't see you do that, but we hope that maybe you're watching it with a friend and we'll do that. Or maybe we'll just chat it up with someone that you work with or another colleague and just share something that you've learned in this presentation that you might be willing to try in your workplaces.
If there's some sort of chat feature on whatever you might be watching this on, if you're watching it virtually with more than one person, feel free to put something in the chat, so that you can kind of share those takeaways, of something that you learned with the rest of the group. Because you kind of might hear something that somebody else missed.
Yeah, or you might say, hey, I know of something even better because something new came out.
Yeah. Even since we've done this presentation in January, I had learned about Morphic at that conference.
We learned about Midas like last week.
We learned about Scan Marker at that conference. Yeah. So even, we're constantly learning too. So yeah, this presentation will probably be out of date
sooner rather than later.
Sooner rather than later.
Hopefully you can apply some of the principles from it. So we do have some resources here. Just know that each state has a National Assistive Technology Act. So in Ohio, that's Assistive Technology of Ohio, which is located in Columbus at the Ohio State University. And it's a little bit different for every state. So you can just kind of Google your National Assistive Tech Act for your state. But most of the tech acts provide education, training opportunities. Some of them have lending clauses, which are really great to tap into. If you're here in Ohio, but every state tends to have a Department of Developmental Disabilities. So here, Ohio Department of Developmental Disabilities, we're located at the Wood County Board. And then another great thing to tap into is Centers for Independent Living. So there's Centers for Independent Living all across the country. In Ohio, I believe we have 9 centers, but oftentimes they have opportunities to lend or loan durable medical equipment, assistive technology, things like that. So just another great resource for you to have. And then okay, I'm going to go back and pretend like it's there. We'll have to add it on. So if you are in Ohio, OCALI, which is Ohio Coalition for Autism and Low Incidence, also has a really great lending library for you to utilize.
And a lot of trainings. Yes. They have a lot of modules specific to assistive technology and all different, I'm an OT, so I'm thinking activities of daily living, but all different
daily tasks.
Daily tasks. There we go.
and anyone, anywhere can take those trainings. So OCALI, OCALI.org. It stands for the Ohio Coalition for Autism and Low Incidence. Another great resource. We have a reference here if you want to look up the overview of employment skills framework. You can type in that link, or you can certainly just search for it from the U.S. Department of Education. And we're not live with you to answer your questions. So what we will do is share that we can be reached at remotesupports@woodcountyd.org is an email address that goes to our department. Then we'd be happy to answer a question there. So remote supports with an S.
Without an S.
Without an S, remote support, no S, at woodcountyd.org. All right, thanks everyone.